I'm sorry, I didn't see you there. I was too busy genting. Hello, and welcome to my first video lesson. Today we'll be going over two parts in the song Shards of Scorched Flesh. The first part is that stupid retarded Wheatley riff. And the second part is that blisteringly fast galloping riff at 250 BPM. Alright, so let's break this riff down. The first thing you got is these three cute little whole tone sweeps done on 4 strings, and there's only down picking for the sweeps. So you got back up, just like this. Woo! And how you get those really fast, or any sweeps, regardless of what type they are, really fast is the secret tip. And the tip is that everybody knows that you're supposed to, mute each consecutive string with your right hand as you're going down, but not a lot of people know that you're supposed to also mute with your left hand. Now, muting with your left hand is just like playing a natural harmonic. So you got like that, or like that, and you're supposed to leave your left hand on the strings just enough so it mutes it. So you'd go like, without muting with my right hand, you'd go, and then lift up, but keep it there. Second, lift up, keep it there. Third, lift up, keep it there. Fourth, lift up, keep it there. Now, we're going to use that same concept to clean up your sweeps with the left hand, but with the tapping. Now, with the tapping, I like to use the pick instead of the finger, because tapping with your finger, there's not a lot of note definition there, not a lot of percussiveness, not a lot of speed unless you practice ridiculously. And we're just gonna do this. This is what I do. So you're gonna take the pick and you're gonna go between both strings, and remember the natural harmonic muting for the strings, so you don't get that nasty bullshit string noise. You're gonna go. So, faster. Boom. Just like that. So the rest of this riff is just variations on the diminished tapping and those whole tone sweeps repeated in between them. So you got this first part. And the second part. Now you're going to want to hammer on with your pinky right there and then tap 3 frets above it. And then you're going to do the same thing for this next part, but in a lower register. So the next part is probably the trickiest part of this riff, in my opinion, because you got to pick out of your tap and slide up to the 24th fret. So what you would do is just like that. So after you satisfy that 24th fret with some nice vibrato there, you go down to the 22nd fret and you do kind of a little pick trill. You gotta like that, And then you slide into a more completed version of these whole tone sweeps. The first is your regular 3-string sweep with hammer-ons and pull-offs at the top that you would normally find. So it's just... Lastly, there's a pick slide between the full sweep and 3-string sweep at the end. So slow, that would be like this. So altogether, fast up to speed, that riff would be 250 BPM, and it would sound like this. There you go. So what a lot of people do for this galloping stuff is they do down, up, down, then they bring it back up, down, bring back up, down, down. The pattern continues, lots of wasted motion, lots of speed sacrifice, not chill, not good. So it would sound like this. You can only do that so fast, working against yourself there. So what I do is I'm really into alternate picking. I do down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. No matter what, for everything. When there's an up must come down, and so on. Down must come up. Every time. So what I do is I go down, up, down, up, down, and then it goes like this. Like that. Now, you're going to be able to get really fast gallops, like faster than you've ever had doing that. Because there's no wasted motion whatsoever. Now, the only thing that you have to concentrate on is getting the accents of the up, down, up to match those of the down, up, down. That's the tricky part, or else you're gonna have this weird rolling motion that sounds just like incorrect speed picking. You don't want that. It's really bad sounding, but everybody starts off like that. It's just something that you got to get past with practice. Speaking of practice, a lot of people don't practice correctly. A lot of people. And there's a thing about technical ability and patience. You gotta be patient with yourself, and you just gotta really work on it, because it takes a very long time. Now, here is an example of how you're supposed to, or there's many ways to do it, but this is a way that I did, and it's a way that works. So use at your own discretion. When you're practicing and you're trying to build speed in anything, you gotta practice to a metronome. And with the metronome, this is fast. You take it down to about 60. So, say you want to practice this new alternate picking galloping technique. So, you practice it at 60 BPM, like. Or slower if you have to. And you practice it for about as long as you can. A good amount of time would be 6 hours. You practice just that for 6 hours for about 2 days at that speed. Now, earlier I mentioned patience. What you're doing is you're building muscle memory. You're doing that at a slow speed to where your brain can process it, and it can eventually do it without thinking about it at all. But when you're practicing, you want to pick everything with as least amount of effort as possible. You want to pick and concentrate on getting the right accents, right technique, least amount of movement. Just try and hold that concentration as long as possible, because the more you play it incorrectly, the more you set yourself back, because you're building incorrect muscle memory. You have to build correct muscle memory at a slow speed and work up, and it becomes easy over time. Now, after those 2 days at 60 BPM, 10 BPM increments, 70 BPM, work another 2 days, 80, 90, 100, and pretty soon it'll become so easy that you won't even have to think about it at like blisteringly fast speeds. And there you go. Patience. So, got a little sidetracked there, but since I'm using an 8 string, I transposed the note down from the 3rd fret down here to the 8th fret right here because it just helps me play everything in this sort of register instead of doing this spread. Easier for me, even though there's a string skip here. But yeah, if you have a 7th string, just play it down here. But yeah, so the riff would go like this, slow. And those are all alternate picking gallops all the way through the riff. And then there's some harmonics in there. And when you play those, they act like a full triplet. So you're going to want to, when you're playing through it, you do the triplet, and then you either hit the harmonic with a full upstroke and then do the next triplet, or you hit the harmonic with a downstroke and then you do the next, up triplet. So altogether, one repetition of that riff at full speed would just be like this. Just like that. Okay, one thing I want to talk about before I move on is isolation of problems in your playing. This is very important because if you just practice the same thing over and over again, but you only have one issue in a big long riff and you get to it and then you just mess up every time at that one part, but you play the rest fine, you're not really progressing, you're just kind of staying in the same area. So, for example, say I had problem with just the very beginning of this triplet riff, just that part. What you would do is instead of playing the rest of the riff along with that part, you isolate the problem and you just make that into its own riff. So you're only practicing the hard part over and over again, slow speeds, building up to fast speeds, at your own discretion, once you got the technique down. So it would be like until you're good. Now, one last touch on building muscle memory and practicing. I did not mean to practice for 6 hours straight. That is very unhealthy, bad. You want to take breaks 5 to 15 minutes every hour. That's important for 2 reasons. One reason is to give your muscles a break, or else you're going to get carpal tunnel, wrist issues, elbow issues, whatever. It's going to be bad for you. The second reason is taking breaks helps your brain relax and build new neural pathways. Now, these neural pathways are what muscle memory is. So when you come back after taking a 5 to 15 minute break, you'll find that whatever you're playing has become that much easier to play every time. It's very important in learning, growth, development, and anything you do. A good example of this is I've played these songs infinite amounts of times on tour, at home, practicing, whatever. And my muscle memory has built up to the point playing off and on, taking breaks, to the point where I could take something that's at 250 BPM, I could just raise it to 300 BPM. No problem. No problem at all. The sky's the limit. Sky is the limit when you practice that way. Slow to fast, taking breaks, building neural pathways, and it's especially important to practice that way when you're learning new techniques that you've never done before. It's almost a must, or else you're just never going to get it. So yeah, hope that helps. So yeah, the things taught in this video are just a very general tip the iceberg sort of thing on technical ability. There wasn't that much at all touch in music theory or anything like that. These are just very general lessons I'll be doing for songs off our albums and other things that I feel are important. So if you want more in-depth lessons, then my personal Facebook and more information about the video and everything is in the description box below. So you could hit me up on my personal Facebook and ask me what my rates are for lessons and what times you're free, what you're trying to learn. Because what I like to do when I have students is I like to see what their goals are and orient their lessons towards their goals so they don't fail. Lastly, I'd like to give a shout out to Ethereal Guitars. Pretty badass piece of musical equipment we got here. It's an 8-string, 27 fret, extended range, steel fretboard, carbon fiber supported backing neck, locking tuners, prototype guitar called Aswin, and you'll probably be seeing more of this in a final polished version later on. But yeah, the information about all the gear I used and the link to them is also in the description box below. Advise you check it out, and I'll see you next time. He must be playing Guitar Pro at half speed. Yes.